Manager of the Year 3 different times.
I don't know that there's an award that is more of a team award than Manager of the Year, because you're relying on your coaching staff, you're relying on your front office staff to give you the players, and certainly the players have to perform.
And the A's have won the West. And it's swung on and missed, and down he goes. And they're back in the postseason.
Well, joining us here on A's Cast, he has meant a lot to us over the years, no question. He's now the manager of the San Francisco Giants, but he'll always be remembered as the manager of the Athletics around here. Of course, the winningest manager in Oakland A's history. The great Bob Melvin is with us. Bob, how are you? It's been a while.
I'm good. Well, relatively after last night's game, but that one. That was pretty cool. I appreciate that. You know, it brings back a lot of memories.
When you see that video and you think about all your times as the manager of the Athletics, and just not the winning, but it was what you built, it was how you built it, the relationships. When you see a video like that, I know right now it's all about the Giants and what you're doing, but just when you see a video like that, how do you feel?
I got goosebumps. I mean, that period of time meant so much to me. And like you said, you know, what Billy and David created here, you know, was continuity amongst the people that were here. And a lot of them are still here.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, there was an Oakland A's way of doing things. And thankfully I fit into that. And we accomplished some things. We would like to have accomplished a lot more, but I think for what we did for a long period of time, you know, you think back and it's about the relationships, the players that were there, the people in the organization. And it was such a cool period in my life.
You know, when I think about baseball, it is about relationships. And I think one of the biggest strengths that you have had, you know, beyond baseball knowledge and everything, it's how you deal with people. It's how you communicate with people. What is it like now, former players that you manage with the Athletics that you see? Because there's a lot of guys still out there playing that you are now managing against.
Oh, look, I mean, almost every one of them that I've managed before they come to the plate or when they take the mound, or, you know, there's always that quick look and a little bit of a salute and a little bit of a remembrance of what we did together here in Oakland. And it was such a special team and special place that, to a man, it happens really every time. Even, you know, like Tyler Soderstrom, I was there for a short period of time with him, and I felt like I got to know him that spring and first round pick and so forth, and always gives me a little, you know, one of these when he comes to the plate. It's just it's really humbling to know that there are that many people that I'd been around in this organization and still remember me.
Well, you look over in the dugout. I mean,
yeah.
Mark Kotze was on your staff. Scott Emerson, on and on and on. All these guys
Mike
were on your staff.
Aldretti,
Yeah.
Emar, I mean, all those guys. And Marcus Jensen, I mean, that was my staff. And really, that was created by Keith Lippman. And I remember I brought in Chip Hale, who was an East Bay guy. I brought in Matt Williams a little bit later. But every coach that came through after that came from our system. All those guys that are down there now, and that was the Keith Lippman telling me, hey, look, you don't need to do that anymore. We got a guy. There's a way we do things here. There's a way that we do things in Oakland, and these guys buy in, and there's continuity, and he was 100% right. There are a lot of people that we talk about in Oakland, you know, from Billy and David and all of it. Keith Lippman is a special man in everybody's hearts that you know, whether you were in player development or a player and came up through Oakland, Keith Lippman was right in the middle of it.
Yeah, and he's in the A's Hall of Fame, and he's one of the greats of all time. What a career. I mean, it's a baseball life of a baseball life. You know, the things that you did with the Oakland Athletics, and then you move on to San Diego, and then you're now in San Francisco. How much have you taken from your time with the A's, and you still utilize it today?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's different everywhere. But I think there's a certain part of you that values who you are and what you became in a place that, to me, was, you know, made me who I was in baseball. So a lot of what I took out of Oakland still remains with me. And San Diego is a little bit, here it's a little bit different. But kind of my roots came from Oakland, and my beliefs came from Oakland, and they still stay with me.
And, of course, right now with the San Francisco Giants, just talk about this season. It's a battle once again. The Dodgers, we know, they're the defending champs. They got resources like you wouldn't believe. And the Padres, the D-backs, I mean, it's this battle trying to get to this Goliath.
It is, but, similar to the days in Oakland, we didn't really care about that. We didn't care that Texas spent more than we did. We didn't care that Houston spent more than we did, that the Angels spent more than we did. We just cared about what we did. And here in San Francisco, we got a pretty good group. We're a little scrappy group. We didn't show it last night. We'll put on a better show for you tonight. But, with Buster running the show now, there's a lot of history there, and a foundation that's been built in the Giant organization that is everybody feels it right now with Buster there. And, we're a little bit banged up right now. We haven't played too well offensively here, but we're still in a pretty good place, and we feel good about what we're going. We're getting Chapman back today, get Casey Schmidt back in a few days, and, our pitching's been fantastic. We feel like we can play with anybody in our division.
Oh, you mentioned Buster Posey. You catchers stick together, and, of course, he just picked up your option. How did that feel?
It felt great. I mean, look, a new guy comes in who's got such – a history in San Francisco, and, is he going to want his own people here? And, who's it, all these, guys that he played with and so forth, who's he value to pick up my option, especially in a time when it was probably the worst stretch that we've been through this year. Man, that really makes you feel good, and makes the staff feel good that we're working hard. He recognizes that, and, rewarded us with knowing that we're going to be back here next year too.
You have a guy who is one of the greatest pitchers of all time, Justin Verlander. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But you know how we feel, how tough it was in those postseason. I look out there and I go, oh, Bob and Verlander. I'll never forget the conversation. I think you guys were walking out of Houston years ago when he was an Astro, and you guys were walking out together. And he goes, if you had a guy like me, could have probably won some World Series titles. What's it like managing Justin Verlander after all the things we went through with this
Right.
guy?
The first time I saw him, he came to camp, introduced ourselves. I knew him a little bit, like you said, from the past. But I said, look, you're going to pay for this, what happened. You're going to be running polls here for the first few days of spring training. You're going to be shagging. You're going to be doing all the things that are going to make me feel better about myself, knowing that he just laughed. And so those were a couple really rough games for us. But his professionalism and how he goes about his business. I know the numbers don't look great right now. He didn't have his best game yesterday, but he's been very impactful for the pitchers on this staff and the guys on the staff. He's a winner, and that's what we're trying to create.
A guy who's going for you tonight, Logan Webb, is somebody who grew up an A's fan. He grew up coming to this ballpark, and just love his stuff, love his demeanor, love how he goes about everything. Anytime you sink it and you cut it and everything that he does, you got a special pitcher on the mound going tonight.
We do, and he's even gotten better this year. So, in the past, it's, sinker changeup, basically away. Now he's got a cutter, he's got a sweeper, he throws in, he front hips you, he cuts the ball into lefties, where at times that was a little bit of a problem for him, especially in our division when he's pitched against, the Padres and the Dodgers, and guys have 60 and 70 at bats off him. You have to make some adjustments to turn the tables and get these guys out. And this year, the last two games, pitched against the Padres and the Dodgers, has given him a rough time. He's had different weapons for him. They got different swings out of him, and he's had really good results. So he's always trying to get better, and we're lucky to have Logan Webb.
Let's end on this. We know in the past the Giants have had a hard time getting big-time free agent bats. Well, why not trade for one? Devers, what this guy has done in Boston, he's a World Series champion. He's been one of the best bats in the American League for a long time. I know he's the adjustment period, a little bit of a struggle, but just how big a deal was it to get? The guy's a dude.
He's a big deal. And for Buster to pull that one off, especially when he did, so we're going to have him for the better part of this year, not just from the trade deadline going forward. So, when he first brought up his name, I was like, that's going to be a tough one. And he stayed with it, and he stayed with it, and he stayed with it. We made the deal like a minute before, we had to have the lineup cards and all that done. Kyle Harrison's warming up in the bullpen to pitch the game. We got to pull him out of the bullpen. Wow. But, to be able to pull that one off, we're going to pay. It's going to pay dividends for us.
Well, I just wanted to let you know, no matter what happens, and obviously his franchise is going to Vegas, but you're always going to be a huge part of this franchise. No one in the Oakland era won more games than you as the manager. You put your heart and soul into it. You meant so much to all of our careers, whether we talk about Ken Korak. They always give me, about it's the Bob Melvin show, but what you meant to me in my career, how you helped me build A's Cast, how we've changed everything. I just wanted to bring you up here and say thank you. And we all will never forget what you did for us.
The feeling's mutual, Cody and yourself and, all the stuff we did, nest bedding and our, all our shows that we did and my shows with Ken and everything. That's a big part of my life. So I appreciate that as well. And it's reciprocal.
The great Bob Melvin right here on A's Cast.